New York City is falling apart, and if they don't do something fast, things will never be the same.
Suspects in custody after allegedly slashing two people at Grand Central Terminal.
NYPD looking for a group of men who fatally stabbed a migrant and wounded another in Lower Manhattan.
The first week of congestion pricing in New York is wrapping up.
Following breaking news this morning, this is in the Bronx where firefighters are now battling a 5-alarm blaze.
So what's up, YouTube? This video today is going to be a little bit off the cuff. It's going to be a little bit more raw and a little bit more just how I think and feel about New York City. So for those of you who are new to the channel, those of you who don't know me, I moved to New York in 2018. I was working in the federal government. I was working for the U.S. Marshal Service, doing pretty much data entry and sort of evictions in Washington, D.C. And I always wanted to move to New York for the film and entertainment industry. I did some acting in high school. I was Macbeth in high school. So I always wanted to figure out how movies were made, how the industry works, how the business works. So that's why I moved up here in 2018. So I've been here for about 7 years now, and I can say that things have drastically changed since I first moved here 7 years ago. This is not the city that I remember, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. In 2018, I remember when I first moved up here, and I drove up here in my nice little Honda Accord, and the city was electric. I think it was Labor Day weekend, and it was one of those festivals going on, and there were people everywhere. Granted, it was summertime or what have you, but there was an actual vibe. There were people on the block. There were people walking down the street, people walking to bars, people sitting on the porch. And it just really felt like there was a sense of neighborhood and community no matter where you went. I remember my first night living in New York City, and I had roommates of 4 people. I'm living in a house with strangers. I have no idea who these people are. And we went out and we had a great time. And I remember walking up and down like Evergreen around like Bushwick area, and there were people everywhere. No matter what day of the week it was, there was always something you could do. There was always somewhere you could go. The bars were packed. The vibes were great. It didn't matter. And then slowly towards 2019 and 2020, obviously things changed. In 2018, now granted this was before the you know what, but there were a lot of places for you to go. Now it seems like a lot of options just are no longer there, especially when it comes to nightlife. I remember going to places in Williamsburg like Kinfolk. That place is not there anymore. There's a lot of clubs that have also shut down, like Up and Down, One Oak, 4040 Club. A lot of New York City's landmark nightlife places are just not open anymore. And what you'll also notice too is that a lot of the affordable bars or the dive bars, they're pretty empty. Because I really do think that the younger generation just simply can't afford it. So outside of the nightlife, that leads me to my next thing. And this one is about the cost of living. Now, granted, I've only lived in New York for 7 years, but I have conversations with people who have lived here their entire life. And I work at a team with baristas and waitresses and waiters and cooks and chefs. And when they are complaining about working 2 jobs in the service industry with tips, with also making $24 and $25 an hour, and they have roommates, and they're saying that they can't make ends meet.
I'm tired, boss.
That they're just not making enough money. New York City runs off of service. And if they can't figure out how to get the people who are working these critical jobs, whether that's delivery services, truck drivers, service, waiters, baristas, what have you, if they can't, these people can't live a livable wage, then they're going to leave. Literally the entire staff that I work with is planning to leave New York City because they just can't afford it anymore. When you go to the grocery store, why is a carton of eggs $8 or $9 for 12 eggs? We're at almost to $1 an egg now. The price of milk out of this world. I went to CVS the other day in Manhattan. It was like $7.99 or $6.99 for a lemonade.
It's just that you've only scanned a few items and it's already $60.
Okay, I'm a trained professional, ma'am. I've scanned a lot of groceries. I need you to stay with me. No! You gotta dig deep. This is the hardest part. Patricia, it's time to pay.
So the cost of living is really spiraling out of control. And I've been having this conversation a lot amongst my peers. And I'm starting to think that is the wages not competitive enough or whatever, that may be a part of the equation. But I think now New York City is the most expensive it has ever been. And ever. Because when you have 3 or 4 roommates and your rent's only $800 a month and you can't afford to do that, then that is a problem. The quality of life has rapidly declined in the last couple of years. The next thing I want to talk about is transportation in the city. Now, obviously, we know about congestion pricing. We know that went into effect on January 5th. And ever since then, traffic in the city has been a little bit down. Now, granted, some people might have still been on holiday. So it'll be interesting to see in the coming weeks how that plays out. But nonetheless, I think this is going to negatively impact the city because one, is the subway system ready for this new influx of people, including in Jersey? Two, they're already raising the subway price by 10 cents in August 2025. So it kind of makes us question, hey, like all this money for the congestion pricing is going into the MTA, but you're already raising the price.
What?
So it's kind of confusing. And in addition to that, the businesses that are going to get taxed on this congestion price, who do you think they're going to pass this cost down to? The Balder truck, the Driscoll truck, all these food trucks, they're going to pass that down to the consumer. And we are ultimately going to end up paying for this. Roads that were already taxed on, things that we already paid for, we're paying for time and time over again. And the crime on the subway, believe it or not, crime is down since 2019, but perception always overtakes reality. And the perception right now is that the train is not safe. You got crazy headlines with women being set on fire. You have another crazy headline of a gentleman being pushed in front of the tracks, and a whole plethora of other issues. In addition to the fact, when you go to the subway, it just looks terrible. Like, can we get a power wash at least? Like, get the power washer, spray the wall so it at least can be white again.
To help make Christmas.
I think I can smell shite.
Like, there's such small wins that the MTA can get that they, for whatever reason, that they just do not value, and I don't understand. Cosmetics go a long way, MTA. I hope you're listening. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is I was actually in Manhattan yesterday, and I might actually include a couple of clips in here. And I was shocked at the amount of brick and mortar businesses that are just no longer open. I mean, empty storefront after empty storefront, gates down, now leasing, empty spots. I have never seen as much opportunity to get a lease in a brick and mortar location probably since I was a kid. I mean, I was around for the 2008 financial crisis. Granted, I was only 14 or 15 years old, but I still was old enough to understand that the city was not in a good space at the time, and that the economy was really, really struggling. So this is reminiscent of those times. I'm looking on Loop.
Help me! Help me!
Net or a small business buy. Almost every shopping center in my hometown in Maryland is for sale. So if the writing's not on the wall, then I don't know what is going on, because it's spiraling out of control. And then the next thing I'm going to talk about is the soul of New York City feels gone. You know, I was talking to a yellow cab driver on the comments of my YouTube video the other day, and he said that the city has gone since 2022. And I was actually talking to a native New Yorker who's been working in Manhattan for over 30 years, and he told me he has a couple of buildings in the city, and he said this city is still operating at 60% capacity, still to this day. So you have empty office buildings, sky-high rent, congestion pricing, not as much people coming to the city, brick and mortar locations closing, restaurants and bars not open till 2 and 4 in the morning anymore. This is no longer the city that never sleeps. This is very much the city that sleeps, because I remember just a couple of weeks ago, I wanted to go out and it was like 11 o'clock and I had almost had no options. I remember just moving here. It didn't matter what day of the week it was. It didn't matter what was going on. A lot of those places were open till 4 in the morning or 2 in the morning. Now, a lot of them close at 11. They close at 12. They're not even open on Monday and Tuesdays. And I understand it's very expensive to run this stuff, but nonetheless, that is what made the soul of New York City, and that is very much gone. And so before I end up rambling too much, comment below if you would like me to continue talking about this, or if you like this sort of style of me just giving you raw information like this.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Let me know. But can New York come back? And that's a really good question. And to be perfectly honest with you, I don't know. Because I've been talking to native New Yorkers, and they're all saying that this is worse. All of them are saying that, because during that time you had stimulus. The economy was stimulated. We printed money. We had stimulus checks or what have you. This time, there's none of that. Next thing I wanted to talk about was actually how many people have left New York City in the past 5 or 6 years. And a lot of this has to do, a lot of influx of people has to do with the migrants. They've brought in some 220,000 folks, according to the New York Post, to move here. But as far as population is concerned, we've lost a couple of 100,000 New York City residents over the past couple of years. So even at the capacity in which New York City is operating is not what it used to be. So that's actually kind of concerning when you don't have enough bodies, able bodies in the city. These migrants, they can't fill the same shoes that the people who left can. And that's just the reality of it. So I'm into here. So if you like this video, man, like this video, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you want me to talk about. I'm going to try to ramp these up a little bit more. I'm going to have a little bit more time to give y'all some of this content. So let me know what you want to hear. And I'm going to try to be at least cranking out at least 3 videos a week for y'all, maybe even more if things start to go well. So shout out to everybody who has been showing love so far. This channel is growing so fast. We had our best weekend so far. in the last 3 or 4 months, and we're almost to our goal of monetization. So I love you guys. I really appreciate it. Let me know what you want to hear, and I'm gonna give you the unfiltered truth, and that's what you're here for. So have a great weekend, everybody. Peace.